Hello YouTube, it's the Drunken Kobold here. Today with a review of Tombs and Traps Set Premium Edition. Sorry, let's write that there. Tombs and Traps Set Premium Edition from the Tomb of Annihilation for Icons of the Realms. This is the second terrain set that came from Icons of the Realms, followed behind the campsite, unless you count a little bit of the terrain that came with Kraken and Elderbrain. But I digress. This is overall the second intended terrain set, and it's the second one I got behind the statues and monuments from Waterdeep. So, without further ado, let's get into reviewing this set. Collect all the miniatures in Tomb of Annihilation at your local game store today. I remember when Wizards of the Coast actually cared about the local game store. Feels like so long ago. The contents of this box include one demon mouse statue, one sarcophagus, one archway, one Acererak demi-lich skull, one sword of sharpness, one shield of missile attraction, 4 piles of gold, 4 potions, 4 scrolls, 4 blade traps, 4 fire jet traps, 4 magic glyph traps, 4 pit traps, and 4 boulder piles. So let's go through this bit by bit, piece by piece, and we will get this done. Alright, so this is the demon mouse statue. It contains the symbol of the Devourer, which you may actually recognize from Tomb of Horrors if you are a longtime player or play vintage D&D at all. Acererak was the villain of Tomb of Horrors as well as Tomb of Annihilation. So it's not actually technically called a demon skull, it's the symbol of the Devourer. Just a little interesting tidbit for D&D history there. We have the sarcophagus. We have the archway. It's double-sided. On the thing here, I've already affixed some of the pieces to this so I didn't lose them. You have the demi-lich skull of Acererak, the sword of sharpness, and the 4 potions. In this bag here that contains all these little bits, you have the shield of missile attraction, your piles of gold. There are 4 of these. They're not exactly detailed, like you can see individual coins, but they kind of just meld together. None of them, it doesn't, like, you know, it doesn't stand out in any way, shape, or form. Like there isn't a wash to be like, oh yeah, these coins are like stacked on each other. They just kind of look like one big mess. And then here are what the scrolls look like. I have one scroll affixed to the sarcophagus so that way it kind of matched up with the image. It's also how I based the image off for affixing pieces to the demon mouse statue. But next we have our blade traps. These are more like spikes actually than blades, but it's not the first thing in this set that's been misnamed. We have our boulder pile. The boulder pile actually has more detail to it than the piles of gold, which, if you look, isn't actually a lot of that either. Here are the fire jet traps, they're called. So these ones I don't necessarily like because, you know, you put them on your field and your player will see it's there. I prefer to map out the field on grid paper first, mark where I'm going to put the traps, and then that way if my players say, hey, you know, that wasn't a trap there, you can just show them, yeah, it was. Here are your magic glyph traps. So these are glyphs that have spells infused to them that when they're walked on, they set off. And here are your pit traps. All right, so let's look at these individually, and then we will rate the set overall. As I have already said, the pile of gold, they're not super detailed. The scrolls actually aren't bad. Like, you know, you look at them, you can see the knobs where the scroll would roll. The potions, you know, each potion is a different color. Health. In most games, one of these blue ones would be mana. I'm guessing the green one there is actually poison. The skull. The interesting thing about the skull is Acererak was once a demi-lich before he became a physical lich again, as we see him in Tomb of Annihilation. And a lot of times the skull that you find is actually a golem replica. It's not the original demi-lich skull. That one is kind of like stored away because it is extremely valuable. Each of the eye sockets on the demi-lich skull are worth like 50,000 gold a piece. The blade traps, like I said, they are more like, you know, spikes. Like, you know, you would step on them and they look like pressure plates, would bring those up. So that's where that's at. The jet fire. These are just like a mass of orange. Like, you can tell it's fire, but there's not, you know, they don't like, you know, stand out as anything special in my opinion. The glyph traps are actually really cool. You know, they're really detailed. You can see the cracks in them. And then the pit traps, well, the pit traps are kind of just, they're average. One complaint that I have about the pit traps is the majority of them are actually warped, as you can tell, and they do not sit flat on your tiles. Each of these is based on a 1 inch by 1 inch, so they will fit perfectly on your warlock tiles, your dwarven forge tiles, your dungeon tiles reincarnated, battle grids, what your Chessex battle map, whatever you are using, these will work for that. This guy, the base is a little off, so you're actually going to be occupying squares in a ununiform sense. Like, you're gonna have these guys underfilling the square, but then these guys overlap, this one overlapping into the next square. It's a minor detail. Most aren't going to care. I don't, for one, but some might, because it may interfere with their battle movements using grid rules. The detail on this actually isn't all that bad. It's not great. Like the archway, you know, you can see some details in the stonework. There's some details in the skull, like the demon mouth skull. But other than that, you know, it's pretty bland. Most people with a 3D printer could print this and paint it. The piece that stands out to me the most here is the archway. If you look carefully, if I can get it to focus, you can see rune work in the archway. You can see the top part of the demon mouse skull again. One thing that would have probably been nice about this, and I think it just came too early for it, was in the new Yawning Portal that's coming out, we actually get a little light in here where like for the fireplace, and it lights this part up, and that would have actually probably been really cool for this, but we don't have that now. But I'm not going to fault that, because this is a couple years behind the Yawning Portal and the ideas that were implemented for it. One of the things that I dislike the most is the sarcophagus. Like, the detail on it is great, but the lid does not remove at all. It is stuck fast. Whereas one of the things that was done with the city monuments is when the coffins are out, you can actually take the lid off. There isn't enough room in there to store a mini and keep it concealed. That would have been super cool. But the fact that, you know, you can open this and put this in there, you know, I think that's actually a really cool idea, and I may use it a couple times myself. But, you know, the pieces in there, whereas you can't do that with this. So yeah, that is the one downside that I have for the sarcophagus, is that the lid is not removable. Other than that, the set looks nice. The fact that it's so compatible across the board with 3D printed tiles, Warlock tiles, Dwarven Forge tiles gives this a really big plus in my opinion. I would like to see it come back into print with Warlock tiles being, you know, widely available now. For those who don't know, the Tunes and Trap set is actually out of print. So any that are out there are the last of them, and once they're bought, you're gonna have to start looking for secondhand ones, and I've seen the price of those go well above double what the original MSRP was. So to a rating, all of these are really durable pieces. I don't see them breaking. The little bits, like the skull, the sword, the shield, like the shield is nice. I like them, but I do wish that they came pre-affixed, just because if you're like me, little pieces like that, not only are they hard to manage with your hands, but if you lose them, they're gone. You're not gonna find, like if I was to drop a scroll on my floor is the same color as the scroll, it's gone. The potions I might be able to find because they're colored, but the skull would be gone. Like, and it just feels like a waste that if you lose some of the pieces that, you know, you've lost them. So like I said, they're durable. I do like that, you know, like this isn't going anywhere. I can flex it and whatnot. I do dislike that the pit traps are a little warped. I don't know if that was a printing issue or if that was like how they were accidentally modeled. Not sure, but it is unfortunate that, you know, you lay out your grid and they don't sit flat on the grid. The details on these, they are what you would expect from, like, you know, the mid-range icons of the realms. They're not as good as, you know, we see now in Icons of the Realms. Like, detail has gotten a lot better. However, they are still pretty detailed, and yeah, they're not a disappointment, but they're not, you know, spectacular either. The monuments and statues had a little bit more detail than these. The fact that these are actually like fully painted rather than just grayscale is also really cool. So overall, I would give these a respectable 7 out of 10, but, you know, a little more detail would have been nice. The bits, you know, you really can't help unless you want them affixed, but some people don't, so that's a personal preference. So like I said, details could have been a little better. The warping of the pitfall traps was the biggest issue for me. And just, you know, the lack of detail in some of the things like the coins, the boulders in the fire, you know, all things that could have brought it up to the next level, but they didn't do. And, you know, they possibly could do if they brought this back into print and did like a revamped version. The fact that they are fully compatible is great. The price for them, if you can get them from MSRP from a store that hasn't sold out, that would be great. They're what, like $50? Yeah, $50 MSRP. So that's really good. Yeah, so like I said, a respectable 7 out of 10. They're not great. but they're not bad either. They could be a lot worse. They were better than I expected. Yeah, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with my assessment? Do you disagree? If you have feedback you'd like to leave for the video, please do. Over the next while, I have been a little behind on videos because I haven't been feeling the best. So I do have the Game Mastery Guide, the Advanced Players Guide, and the Best Year 2 coming for reviews. And in the near future, I will have reviews for Warlock tiles and more premium miniatures along with the Infernal War Machine. So do keep your eyes open for those. And so yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Leave any comments down below. And right now I'm running a giveaway on my Instagram. If I can get to 250 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away a copy of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. I've done a review of that in the past year. So if you are not subscribed to the Instagram, go ahead and subscribe to the Instagram, and once we hit 250 subscribers, I will be doing that giveaway. All right, so cheers. Everybody have a good one. Have a happy Saturday, and may your rolls be with you.